I'm just having a very stressed morning.
Yeah? Is this your husband or boyfriend?
My fiance.
Fiance? Is he a pretty good guy?
Yeah.
What happened over at Moonflower?
Well, I was just really stressed this morning trying to get a lot of work done, and I was apologizing to him. I had thrown a bunch of stuff in the bag, all our bags are back there, and I was just apologizing. I was like, I'm sorry that I get so stressed out because I have OCD and I was just like organizing stuff, and sometimes I just have a mean attitude, but I'm not trying to be mean about just straightening things up and stuff, so I was just apologizing, but I guess I said it in like a mean tone, and he got really frustrated with me, and he locked me out of the car and told me to go take a breather, but I didn't want to take a breather.
Yeah? Is there something on your cheek here? Looks like, did you get hit in the face? Kind of looks like something like hit you in the face. And then over on your arm, shoulder, right here. That's new, huh?
Her name is Gabby Petito. That footage was recorded on August 12th, 2021. The police sent her boyfriend to a hotel and let him go. 16 days later, she was dead.
Gabby Petito never goes outside.
Coolest chick you ever met, man. By far, she's gonna make you smile.
Gabby Petito was 22 years old, a New York girl from Long Island with a love for the outdoors, a talent for photography, and a dream of becoming a travel blogger. In the summer of 2021, she and her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, packed their lives into a white van and drove west.
You know, he seemed fine. I don't know, he was very polite and quiet.
So in your mind, she was heading on this trip across America with the right kind of guy, someone that she was in safe hands with.
Absolutely.
That is what her family believed. What her closest friend Rose Davis saw was something different.
Brian wants something, he's gonna get it. And I don't mean in a physical way, he's gonna force it. He's just gonna... I don't want people to say I'm calling him a full manipulator, but he'll manipulate the situation to get what he wants out of it. And you know, he didn't want her to go out one night with me, and he stole her ID because you can't get into the bar without your ID.
He tries to punish her, taking away her phone, taking away her lens into the world.
It's this chip. It's the taking of a confident young woman and psychologically undoing her.
6 weeks into the road trip, whatever had been simmering between them came out into the open on a sidewalk in Moab, Utah, in front of strangers.
Grant County Sheriff's Office. I'd like to report a domestic dispute. We drove by and the gentleman was slapping the girl. He was slapping her? Yes, and then he proceeded to hit her, hopped in the car, and they drove off.
A driver passing through Moab called 911 after watching Brian Laundrie hit Gabby Petito on a public sidewalk. Police were dispatched. Within minutes, they spotted the white van with Florida plates, driving 45 miles an hour in a 15-mile-per-hour zone, clipping a curb. They pulled it over. And here is the moment the body cameras started recording.
How's it going?
How are you doing?
Good. Hey, we got a call about a male hitting a female and the two of them getting in this vehicle and taking off.
So I don't want to try and defend myself by saying anything here, but I pushed her away. She gets really worked up, and when she does, she swings, and she had her cell phone in her hand, so I was just trying to push her away.
Before the officer asks a single question, Brian is already talking, already framing Gabby as the one who started it, already in control of the narrative. The officers separated the couple, and what the body cameras captured for the next 40 minutes is one of the most studied pieces of footage in the entire case.
Hey, how are you? My name's Eric. I'm with Moab Police. What's your name?
Gabby.
Gabby, how old are you?
I'm 22.
What happened? What's going on?
I'm just having a very stressed morning.
Yeah? Is this your husband or boyfriend?
My fiance.
Fiance? Is he a pretty good guy?
Yeah.
What happened over at Moonflower?
Well, I was just really stressed this morning trying to get a lot of work done, and I was apologizing to him. I had thrown a bunch of stuff in the bag, all our bags are back there, and I was just apologizing. I was like, I'm sorry that I get so stressed out because I have OCD and I was just like organizing stuff, and sometimes I just have a mean attitude, but I'm not trying to be mean.
My instinct about what I was seeing on camera was this is bad news. I knew it wasn't going to end well. For me, it's a murder in slow motion. This was preventable.
The officer noticed marks on her face, on her arm.
So there's two people that came to us and told us that they saw him hit you. There's two people saying that they saw him punch you. We're just independent witnesses by Moonflower.
Two witnesses, both saying the same thing. Brian hit her. And then, the moment that defined everything that followed.
Well, to be honest, I definitely hit him first.
Where'd you hit him?
I slapped him in the face.
You slapped him first? And then just on his face?
He gets kind of just shut up.
How many times did you slap him?
A couple.
And then what? And his reaction was to do what?
I had my arm, so I wouldn't slap him.
He just grabbed you?
Yeah.
Did he hit you though? I mean, it's okay if you're saying you hit him, and then I understand if he hit you, but we want to know the truth if he actually hit you. Because
I guess, yeah, but I hit him first.
Where did he hit you? Don't worry, just be honest.
He grabbed my face, just I guess. He didn't hit me in the face. He didn't punch me in the face or anything.
Did he slap your face or what?
Well, he grabbed me with his nail, and I guess that's why I definitely have a cut right here because I could feel it.
Yeah.
She said she hit him first. She took the blame. She minimized what he did, even while describing it.
Gabby Petito started blaming herself for the violence, started making excuses for why she was hurt and that it was her fault because she was OCD.
I wonder how many times Brian has said that she's mean, that she's the problem. That's what I often hear from victims. The narrative that then becomes dominant is his, and she's trying to protect him.
Meanwhile, on the other side of those police cars, Brian Laundrie was calm, composed, even cracking jokes.
I didn't get overtly physical. I'm just trying to keep her away and not get hit. So I feel bad. I didn't get so pumped.
He just grabbed you? Did he hit you though? I mean, it's okay if you're saying you hit him, and then I understand if he hit you, but we want to know the truth if he actually hit you.
Brian is nervous, and he's looking at her, and he's looking away. He thinks he's about to get caught, and he wants to know what she's been telling them. And lucky for him, they're not asking her the right questions.
You can tell that, they're not viewing Brian as the attacker in the situation. One of the officers is sort of joking around with Brian. There was this weird little bro thing happening.
All the male officers almost want to high-five him and fist bump him at that point.
Under Utah law, when officers have evidence of domestic assault, they are required to make an arrest. No discretion. The officer knew this. He walked Gabby through it carefully. She was being identified as the primary aggressor. And then, Brian offered an arrangement.
He says, well, so she doesn't have to go to jail, then I will accept Sea Haven's help if they'll give me a hotel, and then she can have the van, so she doesn't have to go to jail, she can just have a ticket.
He is so pleased that he's pulled this off, and he's got his backpack on, and now he's being given a lift to the hotel. And Gabby, well, she doesn't really matter.
Brian Laundrie was sent to a hotel, his room paid for by a domestic violence victims fund. Because in this scenario, the police had decided he was the victim.
They didn't follow up with a key witness, which is the 911 caller. They did not follow up with questions to Brian Laundrie about whether or not he grabbed her face or grabbed her arm. They didn't document Gabby's wounds photographically or in the report. He was a girl who was hysterically crying, who was immediately taking the blame, who was also trying to minimize her boyfriend's actions. All of this while he remained calm, cool, and collected through his interview. So I think if you look at that in the totality, and had all those things been addressed, we might have had a different outcome here.
Oh, this could have been a game changer.
An independent review commissioned by the Moab Police Department would later find that the officers had made multiple errors, that there had been probable cause for an arrest, and that by choosing not to act, they had left Gabby and Brian in a dangerous situation. One of the responding officers told the independent investigator after Gabby's death, "I would have done anything to stop it if I would have known that was coming." The next morning, Gabby and Brian got back in the van together. They told their families everything was fine. 5 days after Moab, Brian flew to Florida alone. His stated reason? To clear out a storage unit. He was gone for 6 days. Gabby stayed behind in Salt Lake City. The last time Nicole Schmidt heard her daughter's voice was a phone call on August 25th. 2 days after Brian returned from Florida and they headed toward Wyoming.
Later, Gabby told her mom they were leaving Utah and driving to Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming.
She was happy. She was excited to keep going on her journey. And that was the last time I spoke to her verbally.
August 27th, a Tex-Mex restaurant in Jackson, Wyoming called the Merry Piglets. 2 strangers at a nearby table watched Brian Laundrie argue aggressively with the staff while Gabby sat crying and apologizing beside him.
We were actually at a lunch. It was our first full day in Wyoming, and we just by chance happened to walk into this little Mexican restaurant. Gabby was very clearly emotional. She was crying. Brian was evidently angry. He was, I would say he had a temper. And that's when I kind of started to take notice, like, wow, this guy is really, and I told Matt, my exact words were, he's creeping me out.
This was the last time Gabby Petito was seen alive. That evening, at approximately 6 p.m., a travel blogger driving through Grand Teton captured footage of Gabby and Brian's van parked off a dirt road, and someone inside reaching out to close the back door as the other vehicle passed. We'll come back to that footage. At 7:11 p.m., Gabby's mother received a text from Gabby's phone asking for help contacting someone named Stan. Stan was Gabby's grandfather. Gabby never called him Stan. 3 days later, another text. This one said Gabby had no service in Yosemite. They had been heading to Yellowstone, not Yosemite. Over 800 miles in the wrong direction.
Brian hops in Gabby's van and starts driving back to Florida without Gabby, using her phone and his phone to send text messages back and forth to try and solidify this alibi.
In the pretend conversation between himself and Gabby, she became the aggressor. Brian's side of the texting was, you know, I love you, I want you back in my life, I want things to work out. Gabby's side was, you're a jerk, I want you to die. We weren't buying it.
Both phones. Brian was holding both phones, texting Nicole from Gabby's number, creating the illusion that her daughter was still out there, alive, somewhere on the road. But Brian wasn't in Yosemite. He wasn't in Yellowstone. He was already driving east. And on August 29th, 2 days after Gabby died, a young woman named Miranda Baker was driving through Grand Teton when she spotted a hitchhiker on the side of the road.
Hi, my name is Miranda Baker, and on August 29th, my boyfriend and I picked up Brian at Grand Teton National Park at 5:30 at night at Coulter Bay to go to Jackson. Before he came in the car, he offered to pay us like $200 to give him a ride, like 10 miles. So that was kind of weird. He then told us he's been camping for multiple days without his fiance. He freaked out. He's like, nope, I need to get out right now, like pull over. We dropped him off at 6:09 p.m. on August 29th.
He told Miranda he had been camping alone for several days without his fiancée. He said she was back at the van, working on their social media. Gabby had been dead for 2 days. On September 1st, 2021, Brian Laundrie pulled into the driveway of his parents' home in Northport, Florida. He was driving Gabby's van. Gabby was not in it, and Brian said nothing. Not to Gabby's family, not to police. He went camping with his parents and sister a few days later, loading up a camper, leaving the neighborhood as if nothing were wrong.
First word that popped in my brain was coward, to be honest with you. You're supposed to love her. You're supposed to marry her. Where is she?
When police came to the Laundrie home, the family handed them the phone number of their attorney. On September 11th, 10 days after Brian returned home, Gabby's mother filed a missing persons report.
When the detective came to my door to let me know that the van was in Florida with him, she also said that he had obtained a lawyer. I almost fell on the ground because I was just like, where's Gabby? And that was my response to that information. And I just went into shock. I knew something was wrong.
We hereby find the cause and manner of death to be death by strangulation, and manner is homicide.
Brian was named a person of interest. Protesters gathered outside the Laundrie home. Gabby's face was everywhere. News channels, social media, trending hashtags. The whole country was watching. And the Laundrie family stayed silent.
Prompted protesters to gather outside the Laundrie home, demanding answers. While authorities were searching for Brian in Florida, the search for Gabby in and around Wyoming intensified.
But while the protests raged outside, investigators were quietly building a case. And when they seized Gabby's white van for forensic analysis, they found something nobody expected inside it. A handwritten letter from Brian's mother, Roberta Laundrie, addressed to her son. The envelope had 2 words written on the front: "Burn after reading." In the letter, Roberta wrote that if Brian ever went to prison, she would bake him a cake with a shiv inside it. She offered to help him with anything he needed. The kind of letter a mother writes to a son she knows has done something terrible. Brian had kept it. He never burned it. Investigators noted it. They would come back to it. With Brian named a person of interest, investigators needed legal authority to pursue him more aggressively. And Brian had handed it to them. While driving Gabby's van back to Florida, he had used her debit card, withdrawing over $1,000 from her account. He also transferred $700 from her account to his own. The note on that transfer read, "Goodbye, Brian. I'll never ask you for anything again." Brian wrote that note from Gabby's account. Gabby was already dead. On September 23rd, a federal grand jury indicted Brian Laundrie, not for murder, but for fraudulent use of Gabby's debit card. It was enough to issue a federal arrest warrant, enough to bring in the FBI with full authority.
We are going to be going to the Grand Tetons to see if there's anything that we can do to help in the search of Gabby Petito.
You know, the social media has been amazing. Watched it, getting everybody to post it, repost it. We need for her to come back home, and anything you guys can do to help us get there is just appreciated, and we just got to keep doing it.
What happened next had never quite happened before in a missing persons case. Social media communities mobilized. True crime podcasters, online investigators, and millions of ordinary people started going through every photograph, every caption, every background detail of every post the couple had ever made, looking for clues that investigators might have missed. And in this case, that online effort actually worked.
And I immediately got goosebumps all over my body. I rushed back to the computer and I saw that white speck of van and I was like, please keep going, please keep going. And it did, and it got bigger and bigger.
The Bethunes had a dash cam that was constantly rolling. So they thought, let's go back and look through all of our raw video from the dash cam on this one dirt road, pretty much in the middle of nowhere.
Here it is on the left.
Gabby Petito's van is right there on the side of the road. So they put the video on social media.
And I slowed it down so you can possibly see it a little bit better.
Kyle and Jen Bethune had been driving through Grand Teton on the evening of August 27th with a GoPro running on their dashboard. As they passed the white van on a dirt road, someone inside reached out and closed the back door. Like they didn't want to be seen. The Bethunes called the FBI. That footage locked in the location. Search teams moved into the Spread Creek dispersed camping area on September 18th.
That morning on September 19th, I don't know why, we felt like that was the day that we were going to find Gabby. And we had horseback team of searchers actually walking through the creek because they could get a better viewpoint. They saw what they believed to be a human under a blanket near a makeshift campsite.
Earlier today, human remains were discovered, consistent with the description of Gabby Petito.
Not one of those moments ever prepared me for the FBI walking through our door to tell us that they found remains consistent of Gabby. And then having to call home and to tell our mother, my wife, who I couldn't even hold at the time, that Gabby was found and she was gone.
I'm Dr. Brent Blue, Teton County, Wyoming coroner. After a detailed investigation by our forensic pathologist, our anthropologist, and local law enforcement, with assistance from the FBI, the Teton County Coroner's Office is following the following verdict. In the manner of death of Gabrielle Lenora Petito, we find the cause and manner to be death by strangulation, and manner is homicide.
I'm curious whether you're able to pinpoint a date of death and when, and if you know whether or when Gabby's remains will be returned to her family.
The remains have been returned to the mortuary here, and the mortuary is dealing with the family at this time as far as the disposition of the remains. As far as the time of death, we are estimating 3 to 4 weeks from the time that the body was found.
3 to 4 weeks before discovery, putting her time of death at approximately August 27th, the day she was last seen at the restaurant, the day the van door was closed, the day the texts started coming from Brian's hands. Manual strangulation, homicide. She was 22 years old. Now here is what investigators were able to piece together about what Brian Laundrie did after he killed Gabby Petito.
On the evening of the 27th, Brian departs the Spread Creek area. Brian's phone begins to ping in another area of the park on a different tower. Gabby's phone did not leave the van. And then Brian's phone was actually turned off for about a 12-hour period.
Brian wandered around trying to create an alibi for himself. He was trying to create evidence that he and Gabby had basically had some kind of argument and that he had gone off hiking on his own. He hiked 27 miles.
Brian traveled towards Coulter Bay. We were able to use cellular data to corroborate that. When he arrives, he actually makes himself known to park rangers and employees that he was engaged to Gabby Petito.
He hiked 27 miles. He introduced himself to park rangers, making sure people remembered seeing him alone, alive, after Gabby was already dead. Then he hitchhiked back to the van. That is when Miranda Baker picked him up. The next morning, he started driving east.
Brian hops in Gabby's van and starts driving back to Florida without Gabby, using her phone and his phone to send text messages back and forth to try and solidify this alibi.
And the pretend conversation between himself and Gabby, she became the aggressor.
It's how most men kill women, and it's the ultimate power and control move, and it silences the victim forever.
The moment. It read simply, she touched the world.
With Gabby's murder confirmed, every resource turned toward Brian Laundrie. Except Brian Laundrie had already been missing for a week. His parents told police he had gone for a hike at the Carlton Reserve on September 13th, a 24,000-acre swampland near their home. They waited 4 days before reporting him gone, but here's what makes that timeline even more suspicious. Between September 6th and 8th, a full week before Brian allegedly went hiking, security cameras at a campground captured the entire Laundrie family together. Brian, Chris, Roberta, and his sister Cassie loading up a camper at Fort DeSoto Park, Florida, taking a family camping trip. 6 days after Brian had returned home without Gabby, they knew. They were with him. They went camping together while Gabby's family was desperately trying to reach their daughter. And it gets worse. Northport police had been watching the Laundrie home. They had cameras set up in a neighbor's yard. But on September 13th, Brian walked out of the front door, got into his father's Ford Mustang, and drove away. The surveillance team did not stop him. According to police, they had confused Brian's mother, Roberta, for Brian and believed he was still inside the house. Brian Laundrie, the only person of interest in Gabby Petito's disappearance, walked out his front door in broad daylight, and the police watching the house thought he was his mother.
You look around from up here in the helicopter, you can tell just how massive it is, 24,000 acres.
We're looking through wooded areas, we're looking through bodies of water, we're looking through swampy areas, and we're deploying the resources to be able to do that. We have air units, we have drones, we have the swamp buggies, air boats, multiple law enforcement agencies.
50 officers from 5 agencies, the FBI, bloodhounds and cadaver dogs that can detect remains up to 30 meters underwater, 5 weeks of searching. they found nothing. Meanwhile, Brian's sister Cassie broke from the family's silence.
I do not know where Brian is. I'd turn him in. I don't know if my parents are involved. I think if they are, then they should come clean.
Brian's own sister said on national television she would turn him in herself, that she was finding out information the same way the rest of the world was, through the news. On October 19th, the Carlton Reserve reopened to the public after weeks of closure. Law enforcement had exhausted their search. The very next morning, the Laundrie family called police and said they wanted to go in and look for their son themselves. Within 1 hour, less than a mile from the entrance, they found his remains.
Earlier today, investigators found what appears to be human remains, along with personal items, such as a backpack and notebook belonging to Brian Laundrie.
The same cadaver dogs that had spent 5 weeks finding nothing, in the same park, in the same area, had missed him. And the Laundrie family walked straight to him in under an hour the morning after the park reopened. An autopsy confirmed cause of death, self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. With his remains, investigators found a handwritten notebook, a confession.
Rushing back to our car, trying to cross the stream of Spread Creek before it got too dark to see. Too cold. I hear a splash and a scream. I could barely see. I couldn't find her for a moment, shouted her name. I found her breathing heavily, gasping, and she was freezing cold. And then he says, I don't know the extent of Gabby's injuries, only that she was in extreme pain. I ended her life. I thought it was merciful, that it is what she wanted.
He called it a mercy killing, that Gabby fell during a hike, that she was injured and suffering, that he ended her pain. The forensic evidence told a different story. The bones in Gabby's neck were broken, manual strangulation, the kind of death that requires sustained, deliberate force. And there is one more detail about that confession that investigators later revealed. When they went through Brian's devices, they found not one version of the confession, but multiple. Several different drafts, each telling a slightly different story. Multiple attempts to find the right narrative before settling on one. People who are telling the truth do not draft multiple versions of it.
Ultimately, the confession that Brian wrote out is just a rambling pile of garbage. He won't admit to murdering her. He's only admitting to a mercy killing.
And he lied again.
With Brian dead, the criminal case died with him, but Gabby's family was not done. In 2022, Joe and Nicole Petito filed civil suits against Brian's estate and against his parents, Chris and Roberta Laundrie, for intentional infliction of emotional distress. Their claim? The Laundrie family knew Brian had killed Gabby, knew where her body was, and deliberately said nothing while the Petitos searched desperately for their daughter. What came out in the deposition confirmed their worst fears.
During that deposition, for the first time, Christopher Laundrie disclosed that on August 29th of 2021, he received what he called a frantic telephone call from Brian, in which Brian disclosed to him that Gabby was gone and that he needed a lawyer.
August 29th, 2 days after Gabby was killed, 13 days before her family filed a missing persons report, Chris Laundrie knew. And for those 13 days, while Nicole Schmidt was texting her daughter's phone, calling hospitals, driving to police stations, Chris Laundrie said nothing.
You get a call from your son August 29th saying Gabby's gone and I need a lawyer? And they keep this quiet for weeks and weeks? It's really beyond the pale.
And then there was the letter, the one we told you about earlier, the one found inside Gabby's van when investigators seized it, the one from Roberta Laundrie to her son, with "burn after reading" on the envelope. In the deposition proceedings, that letter became central evidence.
If you go to prison, I'll bake a cake with a shiv in it. And by the way, the envelope that the letter came in had written on the front of it, "burn after reading."
Because it shows the mindset of the mother, that she'll do anything to protect her child.
The Petitos have told me directly that they do not want to settle. They want to go to trial with the Laundries. They feel like this is their sort of one shot at justice for their daughter.
The Laundrie family has not faced criminal charges. Their attorney maintained they had no legal obligation to speak to police or to the Petito family. In March 2023, a separate wrongful death suit against Brian's estate was settled for $3 million. The Petito family stated clearly that the money was not the point. Every dollar, they said, would go toward the foundation, toward making sure that what happened to Gabby would not happen to someone else. The civil case against Chris and Roberta Laundrie, the parents who took a phone call on August 29th, said nothing, and went camping, continued. Gabby Petito's case changed things. Not in every way it should have. Hundreds of missing persons cases, many involving women of color, received a fraction of the media attention this case generated. That disparity is real, and it matters. Gabby's own family has acknowledged it and made it part of their foundation's mission.
Gabby's mother, Nicole, recently told the Associated Press, "I get people messaging me all the time that they were inspired by her to get out of a relationship."
Yeah, and I think that in and of itself is a huge, huge victory for a family that has sadly encountered such tragedy.
I couldn't be more proud as a father seeing her literally touch the globe, you know, and she's gonna help a lot of people. She's already helped a lot of people, but I still see stories that are coming online, and I still see people missing that aren't getting the notoriety that they should. So we still got a lot of work to do.
The Gabby Petito Act, passed in Florida, created a set of 12 mandatory questions law enforcement must now ask every potential domestic violence victim during a call. The questions that went unasked in Moab on August 12th. Several other states followed. That body cam footage, the one that opened this video, has now been watched by hundreds of millions of people. It has become a reference point in how the world talks about coercive control, victim behavior, and what law enforcement can and cannot see. Gabby Petito was 22 years old. She wanted to travel, create, and share the world with people who were watching. She got 6 weeks. What happened to Gabby did not begin on August 27th in a Wyoming campsite. It began on a sidewalk in Moab, where a man hit his fiancée in public and faced no consequences. It began in a van, where isolation was mistaken for love. It began every time she apologized for being stressed, for having OCD, for existing in a way that inconvenienced him. Brian Laundrie is gone. The full truth of what happened in those final hours went with him. But the evidence, the body cam footage, the debit card transfers, the fake texts, the 27-mile hike to create a false alibi, the burn after reading letter, tells a story that doesn't need him to explain it. He planned, he lied, and then he ran. If you or someone you know is in a situation that feels unsafe or controlling, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is available every hour of every day.